Imagine waking up every day, going through the motions, work, eat, scroll, sleep, only to feel like nothing really matters. You try new hobbies, travel, binge shows, but the emptiness never leaves. 200 years ago, a Danish philosopher named Søren Kierkegaard called this the sickness unto death. Not a physical illness, but a spiritual one. He believed boredom wasn't just about having nothing to do. It was about having nothing that truly moves you. Part 1. The Life of Søren Kierkegaard. A man of melancholy and fire. A childhood under a dark shadow. Kierkegaard was born in Copenhagen in 1813, the youngest of 7 children. His father, Michael Kierkegaard, was a wealthy but deeply troubled man. As a poor boy, he had once cursed God, and he believed this sin doomed his family. By the time Søren was 21, 5 of his siblings had died. His father was convinced they would all die by age 33, the same age as Christ at the crucifixion. This fear shaped Søren's entire life. He wrote in his journal, "The great earthquake, the terrible upheaval which suddenly forced upon me a new and infallible law of interpretation of all the facts. I suspected that my father's great age was not a divine blessing, but rather a curse. The broken engagement that changed everything." In his 20s, Kierkegaard fell madly in love with Regine Olsen, a bright young woman. They got engaged, but then he did something shocking. He broke it off. Why? He believed his melancholy and philosophical mission would destroy her. He wrote, "If I had explained myself, I would have had to initiate her into terrible things. My relationship with my father, his melancholy, the eternal night brooding within me. This heartbreak became the fuel for his philosophy. He spent the rest of his life writing, under fake names, about love, despair, and the search for meaning." Part 2. Kierkegaard's diagnosis. Why are we so bored? In Either Or, 1843, Kierkegaard writes a fictional essay called The Rotation Method, a satire on how people try and fail to escape boredom. The narrator, a pleasure-seeking aesthete, says, "All men are boring. The world is so corrupt that it is actually necessary to be bored in order to be entertained." Kierkegaard's point? Boredom isn't about inactivity. It's about meaninglessness. The myth of novelty. We think the cure for boredom is new experiences, travel, new relationships, new hobbies. But Kierkegaard says this is an illusion. The gods were bored, so they created man. Adam was bored alone, so Eve was created. Then boredom spread, and the more people there were, the faster it spread. Sound familiar? Today we scroll endlessly, jumping from one distraction to another. Kierkegaard calls this the bad infinite, chasing novelty forever, never finding satisfaction. The real problem: we're afraid of ourselves. Kierkegaard believed boredom comes from avoiding our inner emptiness. We fill our lives with noise because we're terrified of silence. He writes, "Boredom is the root of all evil." It is very curious that boredom, which itself has such a calm and sedate nature, can have such a capacity to initiate motion. Think about how often we reach for our phones the second we feel a moment of stillness. Part 3. Kierkegaard's Cure. The Art of Deep Living 1. Intensive cultivation. Stop seeking, start digging deeper. Most people try to cure boredom by expanding outward. More travel, more experiences. Kierkegaard says the real solution is going inward. He compares it to farming. The method of rotation consists in changing the crop and the mode of cultivation. But this is only a metaphor. The real art is to cultivate the same field year after year. Translation of this line is, instead of always looking for new things, find depth in what you already have. The power of limitations, why prisoners find meaning in a spider's web. Kierkegaard tells a story of a prisoner who finds endless fascination in a single spider crawling on the wall. Why? Because limitations force us to see beauty in small things. The more a person limits himself, the more resourceful he becomes. Let's apply it on modern era. Put away your phone for an hour. Notice how the world becomes more vivid. Try a digital Sabbath. One day without screens. You'll be bored at first. Then something magical happens. Example, instead of jumping from hobby to hobby, master one. Whether it's writing, painting, or even deep conversations with friends. The leap to faith, beyond logic, beyond moods. Kierkegaard's most radical idea. True meaning comes from commitment, not feelings. In Fear and Trembling, he tells the story of Abraham, who was willing to sacrifice his son because God asked him to. Most people see this as horrifying, but Kierkegaard says Abraham's faith was beyond reason. The knight of faith resigns everything and then receives everything back by virtue of the absurd. What does this mean for us? Don't wait for motivation. Act first. Passion follows. Choose something to believe in. A cause, a craft, a relationship, even when it's hard. So, the antidote to boredom is not more distractions, it's more you. Kierkegaard died at 42, exhausted from his battle against a society he saw as spiritually asleep. But his message is more urgent than ever. The most common form of despair is not being who you are.